So now this is a duplicate. What I've done is I've selected the original, went under Edit, said Duplicate, or I can hit the Command D or Control D, and I've moved the duplicate over to the side here. So you notice all my lights are still visible. I'm going to go under the Show menu here. So the Show menu is just telling me what's visible in this image uh, viewer here. And I'm going to go under Show and say None and tell it just to show me polygons so that I can work with just modifying this duplicate. So again, I want to make sure you understand I'm modifying the duplicate, not the original. I'm going to go activate the vertices, and I'm going to use this paintbrush, and you can see the circle. If I hold down the B key and slide the left mouse to the left or the right, I can add points to that paintbrush. I'm also going to go back to default lighting and default shade material just to make it easier for me to see. Now, I've got those. The paintbrush I used because when I select the vertices, it just exclusively selects that surface. It doesn't go through the surface. If I use instead the arrow and drag the box, the arrow is essentially going in infinitely into that plane, so it's picking up both inside and outside. So I don't want that. I want just the interior for right now. So I'm using my paintbrush, and then maybe I'll add, if I just hold the shift key down and click, I can add one or two other points. Now I'm still using the general select tool. Now I'm going to hold down the letter B, and if I do that, if I click it or just push it down and release it, you notice I now get this yellow to orange, even to black gradient. That tells me this is called the soft select. So it tells me that those yellow spots, those yellow vertices, will be influenced very significantly at 100% when I do something like scale, move, or rotate, while as I get further away from bright yellow all the way to black, which has no influence, that effect or that whatever I decide to do will be less impacted. So I can hold down the B key again, except this time it's not the brush, it's actually affecting the soft select. Left mouse again, and I'm sliding it left to right. And when I do that, you can see I'm just getting more color into certain areas. So in this case, let's just go about to there, and I'm going to hit the scale tool. And what should be happening is, you can see, I'm getting my vertices with the effect, and I'm creating an interior of the vessel that's consistent with, or at least starting to suggest, some type of aneurysm. And if I hit the number 3, so I get the preview, you can see that's where those smooth. So the aneurysm is something that we really don't have any, there isn't a set pattern. You know, it's intent, or it's not, but it's just naturally or intrinsically erratic. So I'm going to start using the arrow key now, just picking up the edges here, and I'm going to turn down my brush just a little bit so I don't want to be able to control this, in other words, so I can not get, I want this shape to be distorted, but I want to make sure I don't get it to a point where it's ridiculous. Now I can come back out here with my paintbrush and move some of these surfaces back out, scale them further apart, so that we get the idea that the vessel let's take with the paintbrush, let's take this section here and this section here, and we'll make a very slight blend shape so it's not quite so abrupt. So I did a Command Z there because I dropped it. Okay, so we've got a pretty good distortion here, I think. We can bring edges in just by themselves. But I think, again, we've got a pretty good sense that there's something amiss here. So you can play with this as much as you want. You know, adjust these as dramatically as you wish. So you're essentially looking at an inflammation inside, below the endothelial lining of the vessel. And we're pretending in this case we've got like a section of aorta here, so it's got a relatively thick. That looks a little too extreme. Let's go like that. All right, I think that's really quite enough. So now we've got our comparison. We've got the quote-unquote normal or healthy versus the aneurysm.